And seniors, that's why it's late.
That's true. We can respect.
Yeah, sure.
Busy. Always.
Yeah.
You guys, you? Yeah, you too. Good news for us all, as always. Good news for us as always.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not on the agenda, but if somebody needs some good news,
That's
Should
okay.
have known about you in advance.
Yes, they must have known. Oh, God, there isn't.
Everybody sign.
How are you?
Very good, how are you?
Good.
During the day off?
I
did. Well, I really did. I was a little upset. It was a good thing I was off.
Yeah. You talking about agenda 8, are you? Your Smith's protection.
Yes, that's me.
All right.
Yeah, we did not get an agreement and the cost of it to repair. See.
Okay.
Sit at your end of us, right?
Okay, welcome everyone.
Christie.
We're gonna start the meeting. Everybody signed in. Hi, Chrissy, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Bernard. Here. Mr. Malloy, absent. Mr. Hernandez.
Here. Okay, thank you. Agenda item 1 is to dispense the reading of the minutes of the workshop on October 28th and the regular meeting on October 29th. 2, to approve the bills. 3, transfer monies is submitted by the auditor through the dates of October 23, November 5th, as listed. 4, approve additional appropriations is submitted by the auditor for dates October 23 through November 5, as submitted. 5, we approve transfer of appropriations submitted by the county auditor in October 2, 3, and November 5, as listed.
It's a huge list.
It is a
There's
huge
two
list.
weeks,
But I don't, do you have any questions, Commissioner?
It's getting speed up.
Item 5, you're talking about? Yeah. It moves to the next page. 6. To adopt a resolution approving ORC 570541 purchase orders to the vendors then and now. 7 is to adopt resolution submitted labeled ORC saying 507541D through September of 25. As then and now.
Commissioner, so that we can hear that. Lord, as long as there's your questions with 1 through 7. I did have one thing, just to touch base with Mark. A few weeks ago, at the Commissioner's request, we pulled Stelling at 212 Malibu from the agenda for drug deals. I was requested to talk to the auditor, well, it's an outside auditor. So I spoke with Brian Mosier about Clark Schaefer Hackett, about the ability, permissibility to sell and kind of transfer it over to the maintenance and then sell it so that the money would go back into the REA, which paid for it. And he did say that we can do that. I had Mr. Hannaford research Kelly Blue Book for us, and we came up with the value we felt was probably between rough and average based on some of the things that were wrong with it and we were wrong with it. Rough was 33.35, average was 37.89. I spoke with Mr. Dunnigan this morning and we both agreed that 3,500 is a fair price. If the majority of the board is in agreement, we'll go ahead and prepare an agenda item for whenever the next meeting is. I don't know if it'll be next week or the week after. So are you all right with that? We'll go ahead.
Yeah, that's Kelly average between 33,
35 and 37.89. 33 35 is rough. 37.89 is average. And as I said, Mr. Dunnigan agreed that 3,500 was agreeable, right?
Yeah, yeah, I don't think we can buy that vehicle for that.
Probably not that much, right? Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it over to Shara.
Okay, number 8. We need to obtain a service agreement for the X-ray scanners at JFS and CSEA. CSEA currently has, their machine is broken and they need service on it. Just for them to come out and look at it is like $2,700, I do believe. And the cost could actually exceed what it would cost to have the service contract for a year. So my recommendation is we just buy the service contract for the year for both machines. And they do get a preventive maintenance, so they will be able to come out and look at the machine.
Discuss this. Did we not?
Yeah, we did not renew all the service agreements on all the X-ray machines that we have because the money was a difficult issue. And now that we have an issue that could potentially exceed the cost of the agreement, we should just purchase, and the Smith's Detection is fine with that. For us to purchase the agreement.
In the cost, you said if we didn't do this,
Well, it just start for them to look at it, it's $2,700. And that's just a diagnosis. It doesn't include parts or anything else. So that's quite expensive. It could potentially exceed the cost of obtaining the service agreement.
so you're
In which
looking
we'll
at,
be
so you're
entitled
looking
to
at
1
three,
PM.
figure 3,000, you're at 99, or,
Well, that's for both. Yeah, that's for both the machines.
okay.
I don't have a problem. As the prosecutor looks at the agreement and gives approval on it.
Yeah, they're standard just for service, that you get 1 PMI, it's that
No,
kind
no,
of.
I get that. Just wanted to see.
Oh.
It's looked at by the prosecutor's office.
yeah.
Mhm.
And per his approval, maybe we'll put that on here.
We can do that.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. Prosecutor, is he not here?
Yeah, he's back.
Where is he? Oh, there's Bill. Yeah. You wanna mention this?
I have to leave a little bit before 11 for a hearing, so to speak with you.
We may not let you.
Well,
Can we call you?
I don't want to make the judges angry.
Alright. This is U9, is, I believe.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Kneeling for me.
The recommendation.
Oh, yes, okay, this is, I guess we didn't have a meeting, that's why this is on, is that, I can't remember now, we've had a couple of these lately, in any case. This is a matter filed against the, this is a matter filed against the Domestic Relations Division of the Common Pleas Court by Children's Services Board. They're both statutory clients, so this is a conflict situation. And the court needs its own counsel. They're going back to the same firm that represents courts and judges throughout the state, Montgomery Johnson. Children's Services has internal counsel that's going to be handling it for them, so we only at least have to have one set of outside lawyers appointed here. But that's what this is, to start the process for this case that's been filed over in the Court of Appeals.
So even though Children's Services has their own attorney, it would be a conflict for the prosecutor's office to represent
Yeah,
us.
we can't be involved in any representation where we have two clients that are directly adverse in litigation. The reasoning behind that is that there may be things that we just know about their operations, or that we may have learned about the other side of the case just through our natural representation of both parties, for advice and things like that. So when it comes down to direct litigation, there has to be, we can't participate on either side of it.
And this comes out of the commissioner's fund.
Often it comes out of the general fund for outside counsel. There have been some exceptions to that where, certain agencies or certain offices have agreed to pay out of their own fund, but generally it's the general fund.
We have a running total on what that's costing this year. Anybody know what that total is?
I would have to pull the numbers, but
I
yeah.
wouldn't see it.
And you still pretty adamant about our other discussion with the other two, I believe. With the clerk,
I have quite a few, commissioners, I have quite a few spreadsheets as to
names,
Alex Stephen Johnson Bush Human Resources Department, because there was so many questions about in the past. Clemens Nelson's costs for just HR employment labor consulting. To be very transparent, I can show that those costs are minimal next to, nothing compared to what we pay out in other attorney fees across the county. And that is across the county, not
Those-
just, any one specific.
those with this new administration come way down because of the current or the past administrations. Claims and,
Oh, yes, you just don't see as many coming from the commissioner's office, but don't misconstrue that there's not multiple claims still going on within this county that we have to pay legal counsel for. That is the truth. But yes, less in the commissioner's office if that makes you guys feel any better, but unfortunately,
Yeah,
We have to
costs
look
are
at
so,
everything.
yeah, elsewhere.
yeah,
So they can't negotiate this among themselves without going to court?
They either couldn't or didn't, I can't really speak to it. They did go and it is a file pending case now in the Court of Appeals.
yeah. It definitely puts a burden on our budget. But it is what it is.
Well, we'll get that number and see what it is.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Carrie's, anybody here?
Commissioner, if Bill has to go, Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer. Can we look at item 31? I get a question.
Sure.
Okay.
The one? Okay,
It has to do with the payoff for PFAS and that litigation that we have. We have another disbursement, but it's $9,096.19.
okay,
The Stag Louisa people, they sent this to me two and a half weeks ago or so, and they were asking me, well, why don't you have the sheet signed yet? We got, anyway, we're holding
Yeah.
off.
I get 'em.
And I told them, well, I have to wait for it to be on the agenda on November, today. And they say, can't you just get a blanket authorization for these for the future ones? Because they tell me we're gonna be getting disbursements for the next 10 years.
well, I would like that because I don't know what's coming in and I'm not just gonna sign, just anything, yeah. Yes,
Well, so I'm looking at the wording here where it says to execute a distribution of settlement sheet and any future distribution of such settlement sheets regarding this. Bill, are you okay with just adding that clause to it?
We generally haven't given broad language like that for settlements because each one really technically should be sort of judged by the board before we enter it. And I think the problem with this is that if we authorize the president of the board, there's a possibility, I'm not saying you would, but there's a possibility you could maybe execute a settlement document on something where the other commissioners said, wait a minute, that's not what I would have done. I think it's for certain routine documents, like we've done this for things like grant applications where there's just routine kind of
Execute any
paperwork.
documents related to it, yes.
Right, but for something that's like this, where there's multiple just different independent settlements, we have generally kind of said it needs to be something that the board should vote on.
So just keep them.
I think independent is the best and the safest way to go.
so I think what I'll have to do, because they come in and we have several settlement things going on and, one of them being opioid, these things, so they get confusing as to what's what. Usually I'll contact you, Bill,
Yeah.
but
I
guess
think maybe
moving-
the best way to do this is if you receive one of these like through the email with DocuSign or something, I think maybe you and Gary or somebody should be kind of immediately kind of in touch to figure out, is this the one? Or if we can have, with the opioid lawsuit, we have our point of contact at the law firm, maybe also, reaching out to them and saying, hey, could you kind of give us a heads up as these come through so we know which ones we're dealing with, something like that.
or Matt,
Okay, right.
You or Matt, or-
Well, let's pass this resolution tomorrow. And I think you already have a DocuSign email somewhere. And you can look at that amount, and the one for $9,096.19. Written here, you'll know to go ahead and you're authorized to DocuSign.
Can they resend it just in case?
Yeah,
Or do you
well,
know?
after we pass it, I'll send something up for you.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And you've already looked at this, right, Bill?
No, this is one where we have an outside law firm for the PFAS litigation. So they would be the ones that would have gone over all that.
What says for the recommendation?
Yeah, I don't know why it would say recommendation of prosecutor. That would not be correct.
All right.
In any case where we have outside
I think
counsel.
that was written into the original, the
Yeah,
first
but do we want to?
disbursement that we have. and I
Approve
thought
it
that like-
without the prosecutor's office looking at it? I don't want to approve it. I'm looking at it.
Well, again, that's why you guys have the outside counsel though on this kind of stuff. There's this is a specialized litigation that they're handling. So
This Louisa,
What does it say, the approval of the outside counsel on it?
it says,
we could.
It says sanitation engineer on it. Somebody has to put their name on there.
Here's the sheet that you want to execute. And prosecutor's office doesn't sign it anywhere.
No, again, that's your outside counsel there that's.
So it's in outside counsel's name, the ordinance too, that they have approved it.
In this section for, well, first of all, Matt Blair looked at it, that's why it says recommendation of sanitary attorney and.
No, it doesn't say the attorney, it says, spelled like sanitary attorney, okay.
And this,
And the,
Louisa.
yeah, that,
and Stag Louisa.
that is
They're
your
the
attorney
attorney.
for
Yeah,
this, yeah.
so, I mean, if they're approving, or if they're
Yeah, as long as
recommending it, yeah,
Well,
their
they,
name's on there.
yeah, Stag Louisa, they'll put a sign this with you,
okay.
so. I don't think this is a DocuSign, I think I just get you to sign here.
I could do that,
I'm gonna scan that and send it to these people.
okay.
All right.
So I need to remove that and we will have prosecutor's office off there, correct?
Yeah, and right. For the recommendation of sanitary attorney and Stag Louisa LLC.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
We need to name the sanitation engineer's attorney, should we put his name on there also, or just sanitary attorney?
Stag Louisa?
No.
You're gonna say it right here for the recommendation of sanitary attorney, whatever your pleasure is.
Yeah, I like to have his name on there also.
Okay.
Yeah, the bottom line though, guys, I mean, this is really, I mean, anybody can recommend something to commissioners, but this is something for you guys to look at and decide on. So I mean, despite who the recommendation is made by, I mean, it's important that you guys are comfortable with what they're presenting, with what Gary's presenting here. So I would just encourage you to, if, like we have the opioid council, if you have questions, if you want to talk through it, I would give these attorneys a call. And just kind of, let them talk you through it if you wanted to. I just, I
We
don't,
normally don't have enough time, they bring this to us and say, here, approve it, bingo.
well, this one's kind of been in the queue for a couple of weeks at least
Yeah.
now, I think. So, I mean, there are, sometimes they come through in emails, it's just, due to the schedules or whatever, they don't get to you guys, but again, I think if you really had questions, it would be good to reach out to them.
All right, well, on this, they are giving funds to us, I mean, it's not like we're paying. It's for us to receive funds.
Okay, no, thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have that together, Lisa?
Yep.
All right. Get on that then. Okay, number 10 has to do with the Veterans Commission per meeting raise. I believe Commissioner, this should probably,
Yeah, we're gonna take this off.
I think we'll take this off for now.
Okay, I'll take it off. I'll hold it for possibly a future.
Yeah, the
Right.
commission's gonna come in and talk to us about.
We'll have a
this.
presentation or something.
Correct.
11. Okay, notify Ohio Department of Liquor Control, public is not requested for a liquor application at Duck Creek Golf Course in Warren, Ohio. It's Newton Township. And then I'm gonna go to Gary, Trumbull County Engineer.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, Jerry Schaefer, Engineer's Office. Number 12 is to concur with our office to close North Levitt from October 30th through the end of this week. I'll be reaching out to Larry Newbrow here and his staff and project team just to see if it's going to need to be extended. I'm pretty sure it's going to go through the end of the month based on previous conversations, but I just want to nail down which intersections, from where to where it's going to be, and it'll probably be on Commissioner's agenda for next week for further closures. And again, I believe a couple of weeks ago, I covered that at a meeting. We did meet with the school, the safety forces and the township representatives recently too. I'll brought them up to speed on that, and got their concurrence on closure as a matter of safety. Well, 13 is to concur with our office, with special hauling permits to move overweight equipment. Those listed, the 14 is to concur with our office. Special annual supplier fleet permits as listed. 15 is to concur with our office and grant the quarterly operator fee permit listed. 16 is to grant the special hauling permit for steel coils as listed. 16 or 17, I mean, for the railway permits, we have one as an individual. For drive access, we have numerous ones for Starter and Spectrum there. Doing a lot of fiber work. Enbridge has one. And then Brightspeed's got several too. So we're seeing a lot of these continuing to come in with fiber optic extensions throughout town.
Gary, how's Mines Road coming?
This road, I was just telling Nick over here. Hate to say it, 'cause I don't want to jinx it, because it's already got moved back, so. Tomorrow, they're doing the signal work and they're doing striping. Open Friday is the schedule now. Schedule was to open today, but old man winter came early and pushed us back a couple of days. So Friday should be open. Everybody will be contacted soon by Nick about a ribbon cutting, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, just in time for Christmas.
Thanksgiving. Black
Well,
Friday.
that's right, yeah.
That's important day. So, yeah.
Black Friday, I forgot about Black Friday. People still do go out and shop. Not all online.
Well, they're out there, whether they're buying or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of traffic.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Love to see you later. Dave.
Oh, yeah. All right, he's on my calendar, Commissioner, so.
I hear you, I got the same. 18, to receive on file a monthly activity report from the Trumbull County Dog Kennel, Michelle Goss. And then we'll move to 911. Casey's
It's not here.
not here. Okay, so to approve personnel action for the employment of Amanda Moore to a full-time position of dispatcher, $23.50 an hour. And she is on a 180-day probationary period. She has passed the pre-employment background check and drug screen, so definitely in need of 911 dispatchers. Okay, so 20 is, I think, Alex, we can move with you because I'm not, I know that there's an increase, but I'm not exactly sure how this works with
Yeah.
the 12% and the, whatever that, whatever that is,
So commissioners, number 20 is the COBRA increases. So that number is what it is. That is in the personnel policy, obviously. If somebody were to lose their job or anything like that, they're offered COBRA coverage. That's a federal program. And those rates are a flat rate and that is set by what the COBRA rates are. So unfortunately, while I would like to say there's room to change those, there's just not. That is what the employee would pay for a single or family plan if they were to no longer be employed here for 18 months that the COBRA extension is allowed. Any questions on 20?
so I'm familiar with Cobra. It's very expensive, but it looks like it's this, am I reading something wrong? Looks like it's the same rates as the next page here.
The next rates are what the employees pay, so this is just
Right.
what Cobra, they would have to pay the full amount. So that is correct, it is the same across the board, but they would have to pay the full, for example, if they were.
Oh, they would have to pay the
Correct.
full
So
amount.
they're not paying, so the employer isn't paying the
Okay.
88%, they're paying 100% of the Cobra amount.
I understand this. You understand that, Commissioner? We kind of looked at that and thought, I don't know.
So we have to set all the rates for everything because the Board of Commissioners owns the plan. And these rates will derive what happens, for the next year. So for example, if anybody covered in the county were to lose their job or whatever the case may be, this is across the board. Those
Right.
rates have to be set. We have to sign off on the COBRA plan. We have to sign off on the COBRA rates, and these rates are set.
Gotcha. Okay.
This also, I'm very proud to say, has gotten us out of audit findings. So since I've come on board, I believe COBRA rates were always presented to the Board of Commissioners. However, there was a couple management letters that said that we weren't necessarily acknowledging them through the proper actions that we're doing here. The Board of Commissioners owns the plan, you use HR as your county designee, and we have to bring it to you to make sure that you're all aware of what these plans are. And this is keeping us out of audit. Thanks.
What's the COBRA rate now?
I'm sorry, I don't know that I gave that to you guys on the first page. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I can get back to you. I have it in my office. If you want me to go back and grab it.
I just like to know what it is, how much you're pulling up for that.
No problem.
How many people's on
Well,
COBRA?
well,
now,
that's-
you know?
Roughly 19, I believe,
one
last time I checked.
That's Cobra,
It
but
would be
we're,
down.
No, I get.
yeah,
Well, but I want to make sure, I don't want to give them, I would rather prefer to check the numbers. Sorry,
So we have 19 people on COBRA now.
roughly. Yeah. Because there's a bunch of, I mean, I can go grab this.
no,
spreadsheet.
no, let's move forward with what you, all these plans here right now, Alex.
No problem. I just would prefer, since we're on the record, to give you the final number, make sure it's correct and look at the spreadsheets, because I just don't want to be misquoted. And Ray smiles at me. 21,
Yes,
to formally approve the chargeback rates to be assessed to departments participating in the health insurance plans offered by the Board of Commissioners commencing January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. Commissioners, these are what each individual elected, whether it's an elected official, whether it's a department head, whatever the case may be, this is what the charge is. So this is their 88% that they're paying into the payroll holding account to offset the premiums. This is the 88%, like I said, the employees pay the 12%. So for example, if I am on a single plan, this is what I'm paying into, or one of my employees is on a single plan, I'll use that example. I know to budget $1,119.69 a year, or excuse me, a month, times that by 12, and then that's what goes into the payroll clearing account and on pays for our premiums. And so on and so forth for the
And
family.
then the employee pays 12%.
Yes, and that's the next journal item that we're getting to. So it's an evolution. I apologize, but like I said, I do it so that way we don't get management letters on how it's journalized.
and just so everyone knows, we believe that those rates were gonna be a lot higher than,
Yeah,
the percentage was 10.7
Correct.
increase.
so, and I did provide that number to you there. So last year, the increase was 14%. That is correct.
Yeah.
The percentage based off of nation percentages, statewide percentages, and then of course, the last little bit that nobody likes to talk about is the claims themselves. So the average nationwide increase was 6% for health insurance premiums. That's just across the board. That does not take into account what your actual claim ratings are. So for every claim that is above a certain amount, it's driving our premiums, and that's just the truth. And that is included in your package. So for example, commissioners, things that I don't necessarily love to address, but the 2024 medical spend per employee was roughly $652, again, a month. The average prescription was $324 a month. Times that by as many people are on these plans and their spouses, dependents, so on and so forth, it is astronomically high. You can see that that has gone up, 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 up. I provided you an evolution. I apologize, it's the next page. Sorry, right there. Also, commissioners, we have, again, 17 members that are driving 18.6% of all medical spend. I cannot control illnesses that people have. That is provided to you on the last page. The last page is extremely important as it delves into what the percentage of our spend is coming from. 17%, or excuse me, 17 members, like I said, are in active cancer treatment. That's 18.6% of our spend. 720 members have a musculoskeletal diagnosis. Again, not saying what, that is what the diagnosis is. That's 10.9% of our medical spend. 233 adult members have some type of diabetes, which is equating to 25.6% of our medical spend. So that right there, commissioners, is driving our significant increase in premium costs. Pair that with our pharmaceutical spend, which has gone up every single year, drastically, to be quite frank.
You know, it brings up a good question because currently, Trump administration, I think it's political about it, but these rates in pharmacy are supposed to really tank. This is my understanding, so hopefully
That's the hope.
we'll look at that
Yeah.
and they will take that into consideration if and when this happens, because they're talking major decrease in pharmacy.
And we see it. See that increase in the pharmacy spend. I
Right,
provided
right
you
now,
the numbers.
yeah.
You can see it. It's
Yeah.
not unfortunately something that we can change outside of the fact of we are Trumbull County is atypical in the fact that before I had come on board, there was a customary prescription list. That is not done hardly anywhere else. So we are pulling that back and we're going to what's called the Advantage prescription list. We cannot continue to, what they would do is they would move around tiers of drugs. So for example, if it's a tier one, if Trumbull County was, you were grandfathered in on this customary plan, it would be paying at a tier 3 cost. That is a huge dollar amount difference. So we're getting away from that, going back to the Advantage where it should be, that's a customary prescription plan. There is an exclusive one. We chose not to go with that because we're not trying to hurt anybody. We're just trying to right size and get this cost down. That's the truth. So commissioners, the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that we were able to accomplish one big step, and that was the portion of the premium that the employees are paying is 12%. Historically, they were paying 20%, or excuse me, 12% of 2018 costs. That has changed for all except for 2 contracts. Everybody's now up to the 12% of the 2025 rate, which will now be introducing the 2026 rate. We are still working through those last couple of contracts. I can't help when contract negotiations fall. After that, the next step and the final step will be to revisit the plans. So the plans were embedded into the contracts, which meant you couldn't shop additional plans. You had to only shop the plans that were embedded into the contract. Anything other would be derivating from the contract and would be an unfair labor practice, so on and so forth. So we are almost at that final step where we can look at revising plans. That means we can look at revising plan structures, including going from single to family to single plus one, single family, right? So one thing that I'm hearing is, it's unfair to us if you have a spouse, but you're paying for a family plan. So we are going to look to revamp that. We cannot do that again until everything's out of the current contracts. We're almost there. We're in 901 negotiations right now. And then we have the auditor's office. That is, after that, every single contract has had everything else to pick up.
So is that across the board? Okay. I had a question about, it shows here, Alex, flat rate, and then it says 12% of selected coverage.
Yes.
What does this mean, flat rate versus 12%?
So plan A is a flat rate. So that,
Okay.
and there's a flat rate because that is our only plan that's not a la carte, or AKA known as a cafeteria plan. So plan B and C are cafeteria plans, where you can pick and choose which portion of that coverage you would like. That is really important when we have contracts who have absent care. What that means is they have vision and dental that is covered at no cost to them upfront. Once they hit their deductible, or they're out of pocket, excuse me, they have to go over onto. So for example, if I'm a union employee who has absent care, I may only want the medical and the vision. So that's a la carte. So those prices are 12% of that portion.
I see.
But plan A, you
Plan A,
cannot
you
do that
can't.
with. It is a flat rate. You have to have all or nothing. That is also our highest plan, covered at 90/10, with a very low deductible.
So you can choose plan B and C what you want, or EPO.
Yes,
Plan A, you have to go with what
that is correct.
it's okay.
So right now, the employee pays 12% what the rate was in 2025.
Correct.
Will they also pay 12% of what the rate is in 2026?
That is what is proposed on item number 22.
So they will. So,
If you pass it,
I mean, that automatically gets rolled in.
yep, I will do it every single year going
And
forward,
the previous, before that, it hadn't been done for.
since 2018.
Yeah. And that's per union contracts too,
Yes.
negotiation, so that's agreed.
All of this has been negotiated and agreed to, guys.
My only other question, can we hold this a week till the other commissioner comes back so we can all vote on it?
Unfortunately, open enrollment, I wish that would be the case, but we didn't have a meeting last week. I would have been presented last week. Open enrollment has to be concluded for everybody in this county by the end of November. So you're only.
So another week. You know, it's a couple weeks.
I know that, but open enrollment is a big deal for
Well,
people.
I understand that, but I just think it's important that all three commissioners vote on it, and we still have 2 more weeks to go on.
Okay, all I can tell you
It
is this,
won't hamper anything. What's it gonna hurt?
open enrollment is what I'm saying, but yeah,
You told me till December 1st, but we.
I understand. I just. You guys do as you see fit.
In the Coggins Planning Commission, Alex, if I can interject, that December date is for the employees to make decisions on changes.
That's what
And some of those considerations, like especially for myself, is whether I'm gonna be on a single plan or have a family plan. Or my wife will take the family plan and I go on a single plan or vice versa, is gonna be determined by these rates. So you have to set these rates so that people can go home and make those decisions. The longer you wait, the less time
So
that
you'd
they
be giving
have.
them a week is what I'm trying to, and that's okay, if that's what the board wants to do, I'm just, no problem.
Well,
Why has
I
that been brought to us? So,
You didn't have a meeting last
yeah,
week.
but we've had previous meetings before that.
Commissioners, I've brought it up at every single meeting that I don't get the numbers until October 31st, and that is the truth.
Oh, I
I
just
also-
think wait another week. And let all three vote for it.
And I have said that
I
consistently.
believe,
that
I
we
mean,
don't have numbers.
I understand Nick's point. I didn't realize, Commissioner, I didn't realize the deadline of when these families have to choose. I don't think anything's gonna change. I don't know whether Commissioner Malloy would not vote for it, but I'm okay with it. We had this under discussion, nothing, that was, I understand it a lot better now than I did before. And I don't think that it would behoove us, to delay it really because of the employees.
We're not
That's-
delaying it. I mean, everybody's gonna know what the rates are. They should know. If they're on that, they're probably gonna stay on the same plan that they're on.
Commissioners, last year we had an astronomical amount shift, and I showed you that in your packet. So we had many shift from A to C, A to B and C, we actually had 53 families. That's a significant amount. I
The
mean,
year before that, how many switched over?
hardly any.
So we
But
would
I
have a hard
can't-
any of this year. didn't
Yeah.
we?
But there
I
is a
just-
rate increase, so they may, I don't know, they may switch from, I
I'm
mean,
here to do whatever.
if we keep it on. And it depends whether you vote for it or not, but I would,
I just think it's best that we have all three here.
Alex, could you potentially get these estimates to all the employees so they can start making the decision while the commissioners
No.
think about it? You can't give them just the estimate.
Because I, until it's officially approved, I can do nothing, I'm sorry. And that's okay, I mean, if they want to shorten open enrollment, then that's that. If that's
well,
not,
I personally, Commissioner, I don't. I mean, because I know what it is all about now. I just don't want to put the employees I don't want the employees to be in a situation where they have to rush and figure this thing out if they don't have the adequate amount of time.
Well, the only thing we have to figure out, this is the rate. You either want this plan, or you want that plan.
Yeah, I know.
the plans do differ, per each plan, just to be clear. So the amount of coverage does differ with the associated dollar amount. So for example, on plan A, where it's 90-10, plan B and C are 80-20. And there are also plan C is only in network. So somebody who may be looking,
Are they that big now?
yes, yeah, so
So
somebody.
nothing's changed in there.
Correct, so somebody who may be looking, but just to give you some context, somebody who's looking to change from A to C would
Yeah,
need
but
to,
the numbers don't change, it's just the amount.
no, but they would need to check with their providers to make sure that they're in coverage, that does take time.
Yeah,
I'm
the
just-
80-20 is still 80-20.
Yeah.
Correct.
Commissioner, if we keep it on, are you gonna vote no? I hate to say it.
I get both sides of it.
I kind of am on the other side. You and I don't usually disagree like this, but I don't want to put the employees to make.
I don't want to put them at risk either. I mean, but I think they know kind of where it's at. I just think that, all three commissioners should be able
If
to
we
vote.
delayed it next week, how much time does that give them?
So we wouldn't be able to put out open enrollment until the Friday, so until it's formally approved, well, Thursday, you can do it on Thursday, if you approve it on Wednesday. It would be Thursday is when we would actually initiate open enrollment,
We
which
have
would,
9 days.
would be the 20th. And, that would be due within a week, actually. Well, they have business days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 business days to make those decisions.
And then Thanksgiving's in there too.
That's
right?
correct, yeah. So I take that back.
Zach, give your name. please.
Oh, Zachary Smith,
Um,
from Lynchburg.
you feel that, I hate to put you on the
So,
spot, but I'm
Nick
just gonna,
Coggins, Planning Commission, Commissioners, I was just given an example. This is something my wife and I went through last year. We already know what decision we're gonna make. But you have 1,000+ employees in Trumbull County that are gonna be looking at this, and all of them, not all of them, but are gonna be in the same boat where they know their decision. A lot of them may have to look, and I think the shorter timeline you give them, the harder that is.
and there could be illness, there could be, I don't know, things can arise, illness, or maybe a vacation, or maybe.
I just threw
I
that
don't know.
example out because that was my personal situation last year. And there's people that could be going through that this year. And the less time they have to make those decisions, look at the plan for your wife's employer, your husband's employer versus what you're offering. These are big financial decisions for a lot of people. So the less time, the harder it is for people to do those things. And as Zach from Metro Parks mentioned, there's also the holiday.
Well, this is what I'm kind of concerned about is like, we got a lot of sickness going on now, we got illnesses. I mean, people, they might not have the opportunity, maybe, I don't know. Something's not sitting really well with me to delay it and not give them at least like a couple weeks to make a decision, which is not really. I mean, for you and I, but I don't know what their circumstance with their children, with school, with illness, with.
Well, you can leave it on and I'll think about it. I'll do some more
Okay.
research.
Okay,
Okay, is that fair
at
enough?
least, yeah. Fair enough for me. Okay. Alex, are you done? Okay. All right.
And then I just,
Thank you.
well, commissioners, I just would like to make one note. I have been emailing about this for the past month consecutively, making you aware that this was coming. I actually emailed you 2 weeks ago with the numbers in advance, so you knew them.
Yeah.
As well as the explanation that I provided you in here copy today. There was no meeting last week. Even if I wanted to present this last week, I could not have presented this last week. I made it aware in every single budget hearing that we do not get the numbers until November 1st. Why we don't get the numbers until November 1st may be a great question, but I go out to bid to make sure that we are getting the best, most inclusive costs, and I work very hard for cost savings, which I encourage you to look at in this packet that I provided to you.
Mhm.
I also have to meet with the unions. I have cost containment meetings. There is a lot of work that goes into this process. I appreciate your time.
All right. I understand. And when it comes to hospitalization and negotiations and rates, it's very time consuming, I understand. A lot that goes into it. In addition to working with unions. Okay, Zach?
Yeah, Zachary Smith, Trumbull County Metro Park. Items 23 and 24 are exactly the same, just the dollar amounts are different. So the first one is for 73,500. It's for 3 minutes to get refunded the local match for phase 4 of the bike that we already spent out. So that's just 23. 24 is, like I said, 3 minutes to get reimbursed for the local match, and this one's for $245,000. $245,000. Again, this is state capital money that we're getting to get reimbursed for the local match.
Right, we put out, but we're getting reimbursed.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
Right,
So that's it.
as long as we're getting
All of
reimbursed.
those amounts are coming back to us.
Yeah, that's 73,500.
Can you use that? You like that?
Yeah. Right back into the job.
I know. We can use it. Okay, so we'll move to Nick.
Nick August, Trumbull County Planning Commission. So commissioners, agenda item 25, 26, 27, 28 are all going to be for the same thing. They're a satisfaction of mortgage for the Trumbull Metropolitan Housing Authority. They participated in a community development block grant called Neighborhood Stabilization Program. This is a program in response to the housing crisis of 2008. They were provided with 15-year declining mortgages in 2010 to participate in the program. It has been 15 years and they've satisfied all the terms.
Zach,
So
Zach, excuse me, before you leave.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, Nick.
no, these 4 items are for 4 individual. They had a mortgage for each of the 4 projects that they participated in. So these are satisfying all 4 of those projects. Again, just 4 separate mortgages, all being satisfied for participation in the neighborhood stabilization. Did you need to speak, Zach?
Zach, real quick about the cabin.
Yeah.
We spoke, Commissioner, you weren't here, but there was a request for 300,000 for this
Yeah,
structure. We spoke with the historical society, who, sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the names.
that's okay.
Call them, work with them, because they said that, believe that there's grants available through his historical grants that could maybe aid in that.
Yeah, so we, Zachary said, Trumbull County Metro Parks, we actually had a meeting with KO Consulting this morning to go over, potential grants.
Okay.
So we're gonna be meeting out on site with KO to kind of figure out the value of the structure to see what we can do, whether or not we can
Yeah.
donate the structure or not. So
Okay.
we're still working through everything.
This wasn't KO, but yes, we discussed KO, but this was the historical society, actually, our Trumbull
They were
County.
very interested.
Yes, they're very interested in it.
Okay, I'll reach out to Megan and talk to her.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
Nick, thank you. I appreciate
No
that.
problem. Those were, like I said, all 25, 28, all for the same neighborhood stabilization, forgiveness. Number 29 is to rescind the contract award dated September 24th, 2025 to KJ Excavating for the replacement of 2 home sewage treatment systems. This is part of our HSTS grant we received to help low margin income households either replace septic or connect to sewer laterals, depending on the area. I believe Emily from our office updated you this morning. They were not able to acquire the performance bond that was required for this program. So we are requesting to rescind the contract awarded to them. And then item 30 is in partnership with that, is to authorize and award the contract to S&P Septic and Excavating for the replacement of 1 home sewage treatment systems. Again, this is one of those 2 that's being rescinded from KJ. S&P Septic and Excavating was the second lowest bid when we did the bid opening. So we would take it away from KJ, give it to S&P. The other household that is being requested to be rescinded from KJ Excavating, based on the next lowest bid being a lot higher than what KJ was, we're going to take that one out to bid. So that's not going to be on here. I just wanted to make sure that the 2 and 2 added up. So 29 and 30 are related. Revoking KJ or rescinding KJ's due to lack of being able to acquire a performance bond, and 30 is to award one of those 2 households to S&P as the second lowest bid during our bid.
So you're not required to submit a performance bond along with your bid.
You're required to provide a bid guarantee during it. The performance bond, I believe, is once the contract is awarded. And once the work is completed, you get the maintenance bond. So there's,
So what's the difference between a bid guarantee and a bid?
now you're testing my knowledge off the top of my head. The bid guarantee is to keep that price held at a certain point. So we have that bid guarantee for so many days. If prices go up, they already bid us. Material prices go up, they already bid us at $15,000, or they can't say, oh, prices went up, it's now 17,000 after we award them the contract. That bid number is guaranteed.
I can help out a little bit
Thank you,
too, if you'd
Phil.
like. Yeah, good job. Bill Vanso, Prosecutor's Office. The bid guarantee is something that's required to be submitted with virtually all of the contracts. The bid guarantee essentially guarantees that if you are awarded, you will enter into the contract. And then the performance bond secures the actual work on the project. So the performance bond, sometimes you see it in a combined bond that's a bid bond that converts automatically when the contract is awarded to a performance bond. Sometimes you see it in the form of like a certified check as your bid guarantee, and then the bond for the performance bond comes later before the contract actually is sort of signed and approved by the commissioners. So in this case, it sounds like we made it partway through, but they were not able to get that performance bond, which means they're not eligible then to perform that contract. So we moved.
Normally, what's the reason for not getting a performance bond?
There's I don't want to speculate too much. There's a lot of reasons that it could be, that the company has an issue where it's not able to be bonded. It could be the cost is become cost prohibitive. There's a lot of different things that can weigh into that. So I don't know what the individual circumstances here necessarily, but we do know that they've reported they can't get that bond and they can't provide that bond. So the good news, at least for one of them, is we had a next bidder that was able to and was otherwise qualified as far as I've been told. So
How much higher was the other bidder?
That's an Emily question. I can ask her and have her answer you when I get back to the office.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay, thank you, Nick. Is this Bob or is this Gary? I don't know.
31, we already talked about, so.
32, I mean.
Yeah, we're going to 32, that's Bob.
Bob Marano, Sanitary Engineers. 32 is to acknowledge the retirement of Tom Elder. He's currently our chief water operator. He's really going to be missed. We had a lot of knowledge walk out of the door with the retirement of Ron Watson and Tom. We've lost 60 plus years of knowledge of our water system. So Tom's last day is going to be this Saturday.
No proclamation for him?
He did not.
Did not one?
I offer.
No one reason.
I offered it all.
Okay. Well, with regrets, definitely. Good employee. I know Bob or Tom. Personally, and 31-year employee. Are we, who do we have in this place?
Well, so when he retires, it's a union position. We'll put it up for bid. I think we have an idea who's going to do it at this moment.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Gary?
All right, Commissioner, with item 33, Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer. On our state road regionalization project out there, although the project is winding down, the Ohio EPA has required us to install a chloramine booster station within the new pump station out on Storage State Road. A chloramine decay study was performed, and the EPA has decided that they are concerned about how long the chloramine is going to stay active to be able to get dispersed through the entire system. So they have required us now to install this booster station for chloramine, and this is going to involve us going to the pump station and retrofitting in this chloramine injection station into it. And it's a lot of electrical work, a lot of design and retrofitting. And anyway, for Burtis and Knight, we're put together everything for this, including the electrical and putting it out to bid for us. We're looking at an additional $64,650. Keep in mind that this will be paid through the principal forgiveness of the project. So anyway, it's something that we did not foresee, and the EPA came forward later and definitely forced us to do this.
Okay.
That's his.
Oh, that's your, okay, go ahead.
That's not our term.
It would,
Go ahead, Tom.
Bob Meyer, Anno Sanitary Engineer. If we have an overage for a project, we either pay for it out of our district funds, so the water district served, we would have it paid, or we would use our replacement improvement fund or our fund to cover that.
Okay.
All right, but on this one, we have plenty of funds here with, still in this project
Okay.
through the EPA water supply revolving loan account. That's who's funding this. Like I said, 50% of the money is forgiven. And this is just gonna increase our debt on the project, $32,000. But there's plenty of funds there. And this project did come in at less than it was estimated on the bid. So I think we're still below budget.
Okay.
So is this a new requirement or was this a requirement that was just overlooked?
This is something that the EPA sort of blindsided us with. They were well aware of this project and put in the application, showed the entire scope. It's a great project, Jerry. Here it is. We're gonna give you 50% principal forgiveness on it. Then halfway through it, all of a sudden they started this stuff about worried about the decay of the chlorines. And, you know, after they already proved everything to it, then they sort of backtracked and said, oh, we still, you know, it's something that happened after the project was initiated.
So moving forward, we probably have to consider some of this.
All right, well, I don't know any other projects I have that would fit this particular characterization here of this project.
Okay.
So, Item 34, this is our annual contract services bid. This is where we get our list of contractors for 2026. And they submit their unit prices for the various activities that we may require of them. And we hold them to those unit prices. This is just to go out for the bids.
99% of them Brookfield, Ohio. It's kind of unusual. They're all out of Brookfield.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the award all bids too. I was thinking we've been, okay, this is the award all bid. So we already went through the bidding procedure and these are the 4 contractors that submitted acceptable bid packages to us. Yes, and 3 out of the 4 are from Brookfield.
So how do we know what the rates are?
They're written inside their,
Yeah, they're not on here, right?
no, they're not.
Don't you think we need to know what the rates are?
We've never submitted. All the time I've been here, we've never submitted, but Commissioner, we don't have a problem showing them to you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'd like to know what they
Okay.
are.
I could,
How many submitted bids? Do we know? Whatever. We can get those-
Shane Williamson handled this for me. Forgive me if I know everything.
It was the
off top of
4.
my head.
Oh, it was these 4?
It was 4.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so all 4 of them had the adequate information that we needed. Yeah, I can get copies of their package and get them to you.
Okay. Say 35, thank you, Gary. This is to enter an executive session pursuant to ORC 12122G1. Consider employment of public official employees at the sanitary engineer department. And then we will reconvene from executive session 12122G1 for the same. And then 37, John?
John Gargano, JFS. Commissioners, this is in the normal course of our business there. And it's asking to approve these agreements with the institutions that I sent in a letter to you, which provides 33 training opportunities at a cost of $223,706.92, which is funded through the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. And excuse me, no general funds are requested for that. And actually then, the next two items are my items too, is asking to go into executive session. Discipline of an employee and then coming out of it.
And, John, I guess I gotta ask you, because, there's been up and down with SNAP. What's going on? I hear that there's some sort of now an extension on the holdback on SNAP.
We're waiting for, I'll say, more information and direction, but as of right now, our Department of Job and Family Services, we're taking steps to provide the SNAP benefits to the individuals. And ODJFS has requested to reduce the amount each household is to receive in November by, 35%. And when those will go out, actually, that's determined through the state and, getting the EDP cards filled with whatever programs or whatever funds that they're entitled to. We're waiting for further direction. That's where it's at right now. Obviously, if the federal government opens up, that will change. But again, we have to wait for the direction, and those benefits that were reduced to those individuals will be afforded to them in the future. But how that's going to happen and when that's going to happen, we can't say until we get the information from the state. The state gets it.
How much money do we have? How much is it? What do we have available to carry our residents through? I mean, will this take us to the end of November, or where are we at with that?
Based upon the reduction, it should bring us through the end of November. How much do we have? I mean, I didn't bring the figures with me, so obviously I can't speak to that.
So they're at a 35% reduction in benefits.
That's
But they
what
will.
we've been told.
Are they all going to receive whoever's on the SNAP?
Who's ever on the SNAP, excuse me, who's ever on the SNAP will receive their amounts or their reduced amount. Those that have applied, obviously has to go through the process. If they're before November 1st, they'll get the reduction, but we're still on hold for some of those that are applying.
Okay, well, hopefully we get the government back in order and get these benefits back in order, because this is gonna be a major problem for those that are really reliant on this program. SNAP is very important for I mean, I don't even know how many are on it, but
There's approximately almost 15,000 in
15,000.
a little less than that.
And it comes during the holiday and,
Correct.
so hopefully. And then I think that once that they do open, there's still gonna be a lag
Yes.
on the amounts when they come in. So this could easily carry us through December.
And that's what I said. We don't know because we haven't received the directions. Obviously, they will get their amounts that they should have been getting, but when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, we don't really have any direction yet.
Well, with the governor, he gave 25 million or something the other day. I
He
forget the
gave,
amount.
he gave 7 million to 8 regional food banks. And he distributed 18 million in emergency relief benefits to more than 63,000 Ohioans.
So the SNAP, it comes from the federal government to the state, and the state gives it to us.
Correct.
So
But the state also provided some, I'll say, emergency funds for that. Now, it would be up to the state to get reimbursed from the feds.
Right, but my question is, once the federal government says, okay, here's X amount of dollars that's going to the state of Ohio, and the state of Ohio sends it to Trumbull County, what kind of time frame are we looking for all that? I mean,
That I don't know, Commissioner. That's really above me, and that's with the state and how the federal government releases the funds to the state when the state gets it, and then what the state does from there.
well, I mean, if the state has the extra money and they know the Fed's gonna give them the money, then the state maybe can release that money a little earlier to us.
That's the state's decision. Unfortunately, I can't
Well, I
do anything about that.
But, right, someone needs to
we've had our association, the Directors Association, in discussion with the State Department down at the state and stuff like that. But what the state does, you know, with,
Well, we should know more by Friday, probably, huh?
hopefully,
And hopefully they get this all, some sort of resolution to the matter. Thank you, John. Okay, so that concludes our regular agenda items for the meeting. Beth, do you have something or?
Well, let's see. Next week is our annual meeting. We're excited to
May.
have it at, Beth Carmichael with Trumbull County Tourism. Our annual meeting is happening next Tuesday at Vernon's Cafe for lunch. And we're excited to welcome the Vice President of Marketing for Destination Cleveland, who's going to talk about how they were able to help shift perceptions of Cleveland, not just nationally, but worldwide, as well as with their residents. So we're excited to welcome her. Last week, we hosted several of our Ohio State representatives throughout Trumbull County talking about tourism, arts, and athletics. And at different stops, one stop, we talked about livability and quality of life and how tourism assets are also quality of life assets here in Trumbull County. We talked about workforce development at the resort. We went up to the end of the commons as well. So it was a good eye-opening experience, and we were excited to host them as well. So we're working on our 2026 guide. You can think America 250 and a lot of red, white, and blue. So we're getting that completed and just working on our 2026 marketing campaign, which we'll be excited to share probably in December with you guys.
Right. Thank you.
Chairman. I'd like to
Sorry.
address the
Yes.
board, if I could, please.
Yes.
Thank you. So I have an issue,
We need her name.
Cheryl Tennant, 1061 Perkins Jones Road, Pathetic Township. I had a zoning issue come before me, and there was a resident. Just looking at the background, doesn't have anything to do with the zoning issue. But I noticed that his back taxes were 44,791.68. He hasn't paid taxes for 10 years. I'm sorry?
Sorry.
No, okay. Don't make me
What
lose
the-
train of thought now.
Sorry.
He hasn't paid taxes in 10 years.
Okay.
So I thought, well, that's interesting. I thought I'd look into it a little bit further.
Well, we just brought this up too, Cheryl.
Yeah,
We did.
not quite enough though.
No, well, and again, at the meeting, and it actually was at the budget meeting, but we questioned these people that are this far behind, and, even though he said he'd hate to, to have to foreclose on them, they're going to have to pay a minimum of 10% to keep.
Do you realize how much money is in unpaid taxes in
Oh,
Trumbull?
I've seen it. It's ridiculous.
It's $40 million.
Right, we're losing a lot.
It's $40 million.
Yeah,
Your sheet, may I approach?
well, yes.
I just made some copies. This is the gentleman that hasn't paid in 10 years. But I wanted to
Who is
show you his amount.
Mhm.
And also I added a couple sheets to show you,
I've seen this, yeah.
Gary.
Saw this in the paper the other day.
So.
That amount you said, Cheryl, was how much? 40 million?
Well, it's, well, don't go there yet, just a second.
44,000.
Right here,
Yeah,
he's from the auditor's office.
41.
It says 41 million, but you have to deduct. They told me you have to deduct some real estate from that number, so it's close to the 40 million mark.
Mhm.
Okay, so I went a little bit further. Mr. Chairman,
Mhm.
and I pulled the,
Take this off.
I pulled the, just the water. The water is at 4.5 million unpaid.
Gary, you would know about that, right?
So,
Well, like sewer.
Well, this page, go to your next page, where this one here, so. We tried to get the advisory board, the water advisory board for Trumbull County, we tried to get some other information on the sewer amount. We've tried for a couple of weeks. We've discussed a lot of this stuff with our chairman, who is Rex Fee, a very knowledgeable man. And we just like to know, how do we get this money?
Yeah.
I've been told in Columbus that it's. Now, don't be printing a bunch of stuff that I said somebody did something wrong. It's the treasurer's duty to collect.
Right.
I mean, $40 million, you guys, that's a lot of money
And
that could help Trumbull County in so many.
and this is something, just in my my current community, Hubbard Township, I
Right.
brought up.
Right.
When we were like in arrears of almost 40%. We brought Sam Lamacusa in. He did a presentation,
Yeah,
very good
yeah,
presentation, and then he put them on payment plans. The problem is, the payment plans aren't garnering enough money to compensate for what these major losses are. So we need to really
Yeah, you,
figure this out. And here's the other problem. If they end up in the land bank, then you have you really don't have anything, because now you're really devalued, you know what I mean, in the property. Some of them they tear down, then you have no valuation there. But
Tim,
this is something that we did run across the treasurer and make it apparent to him that we need to do something about this. And as far as, these are things that we had brought up when Commissioner Bernard and I came in, as well, we didn't bring them up, it was brought up to us when we came in, that there were all these, you know, these, I should say, I don't know, deficiencies in, you know, payments that come into the district. And this is another reason, you know,
right.
that we're gonna have to look at, and I don't know, Gary, if these numbers that you're looking at,
From Gary's department,
if these numbers you're looking at, you feel that they're
and I only added, Mr. Chairman, I only added a few sheets here.
about right, okay,
I only added a few sheets, just to give you an example of what. it
right
was.
here. Yeah,
So in the water, we're back, what, how much?
4 million.
4 million, how much? How much?
So,
Oh, wait a second.
yeah, no, I think,
I don't see any water on here.
So-
All sewer.
Sewer?
Bob Myron,
Okay.
Yeah, but
sanitary
that's
engineers.
just part of it. I just gave that as an
And
example.
this is the debt of our entire combined water district on the last sheet. You can see it's spread between the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 projects. That's the outstanding balance on our debt on those 7 projects. And we are getting adequate, well. But we.
Well, I guess my question would be this, how much in delinquent back taxes is owed in the water? And how much is owed in the sewer? I guess those are the two major questions.
Yeah, those
that we
figures,
have.
this isn't this figure.
When we certify, I mean, so when we do certifications for water and sewer every year, the water portion of our certifications is a relatively small amount. Our process for, if people don't pay their water bills, unfortunately, we would shut them off and then they would pay us to turn them back on. So our certifications of property taxes for water is always very small. Certifications for sewer is $1 million a year. So what happens is we assess people's property taxes and then we end up getting paid from the auditor's office. So when you say $4 million is outstanding, that's a reasonable number because we've been doing this for 30
Not on
years.
delinquent bills.
So I would say 4 million in total owed to us for delinquent sewer is a reasonable number because we've been doing it for 30 years. So if amounts haven't been paid, if they aren't paid this year, I mean, the gentleman, it just keeps adding, so it's owed to us. And then there's also the fact that our projects are assessed to some of the taxes as well. So there's kind of a couple of different ways to view it.
Some of these ones that are rolled over stay on the books, but the way that the auditor is currently doing it, you said about $1 million a year. What do we collect? With any kind of average on that?
I mean,
I mean, is it
800,000,
50%? Oh,
so 80%.
80%.
I
Yeah,
guess my problem is I look at a number of $40 million.
on the
And
property tax.
Just, well, it should be collected, right? Regardless, okay,
yeah, it should.
and, but I'm getting raised. My taxes were raised, my property taxes raised, my water, the sewer, everything. People are taxed to death. Like, some people are leaving their homes. When I see $40 million sitting there, isn't there something we can do?
Yeah, and I think the way that that works too,
We're smart people. We should be able to get that money.
well, definitely got to work with our treasurer and I think Augustino will,
He just
Um,
got in.
he just got in,
Early.
but I
We
think
need to
he-
Give him a minute.
and we did bring this up. You ladies were present and we brought this up. So this is a work in progress.
Can we have a report like once a month or
Yeah, we can
something
ask,
like
we
that?
can ask him,
So we all know.
we can ask the treasurer
Will
to
you do that? Will you?
provide, yeah.
Okay,
And he's probably watching this or
okay,
I'm sure that he would have comments on it. So,
okay.
yeah. Oh, he's at conference. Okay. Well,
Either way,
he could watch, but we'll bring it up.
yeah, okay,
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Appreciate you,
All right.
your concern over it.
all right.
Because it is a concern because we're, anytime you're, losing money on your properties, but here's another problem. Where's that going? We don't even know what's gonna happen with
Well, my
property
question,
tax, but it's current now.
my last question would be, they've been talking a lot about getting rid of the property.
I know.
Okay, what happens to that $40 million? Is that forgiven?
Good question.
I hope
Good
not.
question. I don't know.
I don't know the answer to it, but
Right. I don't know.
Well, my question too, out of that 40 million, how much of that goes to the schools? How much of that goes to the townships? How much will the county actually receive on that?
Right.
I think these are all questions that we'll have a meeting with treasurer.
I bet you the schools
You know,
garner about 70%.
But we just need to know, I mean, if there's 40 million owed Trumbull County,
Right.
are we only gonna get, what percentage of that are we really gonna see?
yeah, yeah.
But it's a good point, I mean, it's owed out there, and what are we doing about collecting? I think, from what I understand, the new treasurer was telling the board, yeah, he's got zero in on that.
I did get that.
And he's gonna do that from day one, he's not gonna wait a year or 2 years or 3 years.
That was my
He
impression.
sees that number out there, and we need to start collecting.
Right. That was my impression when we,
Yeah.
asked him that.
Okay,
And we will, we'll have another meeting with him when he gets back in here.
And we can find out how that's going along, what's the recoupment? If it's.
But I still like to know
whether
from
it's
sanitation what the water and what the sewer is, just.
Our water certifications for this year totaled 22,650 for water. So everything else, 1.1 million certification related to. And that's typically what we would have said is sewer we can't shut off.
Yeah, you can't shut off the sewer.
So we're under, that's what we had sent
Thanks, John.
for this year to the auditors.
Thank you, Sheriff.
yeah,
So what happens if you have an elderly person in a home that can't pay their water bill?
Well,
And,
that's,
and they're living there all by themselves, you just. You go out there and just say, okay, your water, we're gonna turn it off.
you know what?
But we give them plenty of warnings. Commissioner, I mean, it's not just, oh, you're late one day and we go out there and shut it off. I mean, don't get various warnings as time goes by. And normally, that, I wanna say in cases like that, I don't know where we've shut off somebody's water and they didn't get it turned back on.
We work with organizations that would
Yes,
have
I was
people
gonna
in that
ask that.
situation. We actually have a
Nonprofit, right.
list
Right.
of many nonprofits and we give it out routinely. So that's our, if people need help, we want to help.
So if there's a elderly person out there that you're gonna have to turn off their water, do you call that organization and say, look,
Either we'd call them or we would provide it to them.
Commissioners,
Alex?
for a little additional context, Trumbull County Department of Job and Family Services also
Yeah.
has. I thought you said it, I'm sorry, Alex Stephen Jency Bush. Human Resources Department, Department of Job and Family Services also has, we have what's called a 211 line in this county. So you would press 211 literally, and what it will do is not just for water and sewer or heating or cooling needs or whatever the case may be, but for actual food pantries, for conglomerate of things, coats during the winter, scarves. What we have is 211 in this county. It's a help network, and you literally dial 211 and it will give you a provider. It will route you to somebody who will help you determine where to go based off of your needs, including but not limited to utility shutoffs. Then additionally, at Trumbull County Department of Job and Family Services, they have what's called a prevention retention contingency plan. Now, it doesn't necessarily help the elderly that you're asking about, but what it does help is if you have a family and you're in a significant time of need, they can help you to make that reconnect notice as long as you pay a certain amount, but it is a reduced amount. So there are a ton of opportunities out there in the county, but one thing I wanted to really follow up on, if I may, is your question about the elderly. Trumbull County only services water to the Trumbull County Department of Sanitary only services roughly 11,000 clients within Trumbull County. Am I correct?
Water?
Yes.
Yes.
So the question that I think would be interesting, not that we can control it, but we only control 11,000 of water accounts. What happens if they're on with Warren, or if they're on with Newton Falls, or if they're on with MVSD, Aqua, whoever it may be? Do they just shut them off the first time? Because that's a lot of residents in Trumbull County, when we only really serve 11,000 for the actual water portion. We serve much more for sewer, but we serve a pretty small amount when you think, Trumbull County being 200,000 plus, citizens. 11% is very small. Well, 11,000 is a very small percentage.
That's 11,000 connections.
Correct.
Multiply that by
How many people live?
percent of population, how many
Sure.
live each connection,
It's still a small number.
a lot of them are commercial.
So do we know if, what Warren's process is, or whoever else are the water providers?
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with it, but I would think it's similar to what we do.
Bill Danso, prosecutor's office, I can say for certain that at least with the city of Warren, they do certify unpaid water charges to the auditor through a special assessment
Okay.
process. So I think municipalities follow a similar process, yeah. Now, what their internal rules are as far as timeframes of shutoffs, things like that, I have no idea.
Well, it brings up a good point because, Aqua services probably a big portion, I think, right?
No.
No?
In Trumbull
In
County,
Youngstown, they're more,
no, southern,
I think-
everything south of Youngstown is
Is-
on.
yeah.
Don't we have them?
They have a little area over in Masonry.
Hubbard?
No, Masonry.
Hubbard City.
I think Hubbard City.
Oh, okay, they are the water provider to Hubbard City.
Yeah.
but it's
The
not
Hubbard
through.
customers are not Aqua customers. Do, when you get a water bill in Hubbard, does it come from Aqua? Or does it come?
Well, I'm in the township, so I don't have water.
Oh, okay, yeah, that bill comes from Hubbard City. They're just the bulk water provider to the city of Hubbard.
That comes from Aqua anyway,
Right,
to the city.
Yes,
And then
yes.
yeah.
and they have the little
I know what you're
district down in Masonry
Yeah,
and Brookville, and that's their only place to.
but I mean, it brings up a good point.
I
We
mean-
service 11,000, but there's 200
Well,
some odd
the other
thousand
point is
residents.
there's taking down 211, that's
They
the
can't.
main thing, that if they're having problems with electric,
Even
gas,
Heating and cooling
Well,
during the winter and
anything-
summer, sure.
yeah, they need to
It's a-
contact.
It's an invaluable
Right,
source, truly.
right. And we need to get that out there.
Yeah,
Bill Danso, prosecutor's office again. I just also wanted to point out a couple things that Commissioner, you're right on this. There's the vast majority of the property taxes that are collected don't go to the county. They go to school districts, local governments, whether it's the township. Townships are often wholly funded by things like property tax. So there would be a portion of that would be county fund if it were paid, but it's not the majority by any means. Just also for context, and I think you might have talked to the treasurer about this a little bit, but the way that this generally is enforced, if people aren't paying, is through the foreclosure process. That's the end game here. And I think the treasurer talked about that a little bit in his presentation. And, the start of that is the treasurer's office prepares delinquent tax certificates for these parcels that are delinquent. They come to the prosecutor's office. We have our foreclosure people who work these. We handle hundreds of these a year. The other thing, just because I know a little bit about that process, that's something that you should be aware of too, is that number on paper looks very high. There will be cases inevitably where that parcel ultimately is worth less than what the delinquent taxes are. So I think you can't look at that 40 million perhaps even and say that that is all collected. There are going to be cases where that property is ultimately foreclosed, which, let's keep in mind too, that process takes probably 6 to 9 months on the short end. By the time we give everybody legal notice, all those kind of things. If it is a parcel that goes to sheriff's sale, that is an auction, we can't guarantee what the price is going to be. Sometimes it covers the taxes and the costs. Sometimes unfortunately it doesn't. And it just depends on where those properties are at, whether they're desirable properties, whether there's a structure that is in need of any sort of either demolition or repair. There's a lot of moving parts to it. But all I would say with that is that, we do work with the treasurer pretty closely on these. So if this treasurer has a mindset where he's going to submit some of these different properties, other properties, more properties, we're ready to go to try to help resolve that. One of the first things we can do though, even when that delinquent tax certificate comes up, is the treasurer's office, at least in the past, has regularly offered 10-pay plans. That's a 5-year program where you get that delinquent tax amount split up over your next 10 tax bills to try to work with people to, ultimately to repay that money, because that's really what we're looking for. Is we don't want to take people's property away. We want them to pay the taxes. And if they can't, and it happens that the property is taken through the foreclosure process, that's the nature of the way the law works at this point, at least. Of course, that's subject to change down the road. But we do in our office still try to work with people to get those amounts paid if that's a possibility. Now, there's other properties, of course, that are vacant, abandoned properties where the owner is either, not responsive or just, unreachable. Those are a different kind of class of property, but all of those things kind of work together to kind of hit that $40 million approximation. And, again, we're ready to try to help out in any way we can to hopefully bring that number down. But it isn't something I think the board should look at and assume that there's 40 million real dollars out there that could come right back to the county, because for various reasons, it's going to be less than that. But it would also support not only, if any of that amount were paid, it would support not only the county, but your local governments, your schools and all those where, other people are bearing that tax burden right now.
Yeah, and like I'd mentioned before, one thing you don't want to happen is these homes in foreclosure, what have you, for any reason, end up in a land bank. Then you have a situation where that property is, well, the adjoining property owner can buy that land for $100. Now what do you got? Now you got a parcel that's, where they value that at.
Well, the thing with the land bank to keep in mind is now, they deal with a lot of different types of parcels. Many of those side lot kind of programs you're talking about there were really meant to try to get that property back to taxable productive use one way or another.
Right.
And I think a lot of those properties that were small side lots, things like that, there was no tax income coming off of them. The owner wasn't paying taxes. And at least when that parcel then is owned by the neighbor or combined with the neighboring parcel, it is added on to the tax duplicate again to be sort of a productive taxable use for the property. So there is a benefit to trying to clean up some of those smaller side lot parcels like that. And the land bank has taken on a lot of parcels that truly weren't desirable properties, that weren't selling, that probably wouldn't have even been auctioned to meet the taxes and costs in a lot of cases. And I'm not saying that's all. They've had some good parcels come through too, but the land bank, does have a purpose when it comes to a lot of those. And they've done, in my estimation, a very good job trying to return properties to that taxable, good, productive use.
Right.
But you're right. There's other times where when they take the property, it wipes out the taxes and costs essentially, and that money is lost.
See, when we put, and I question treasurer on this very situation about, hey, some people owe $8,000 back taxes. They send in a check for a few $100 and it starts all over again. Okay, it keeps them from being put into that. Well, the treasurer said that he's going to make sure that they come up with 10% of that amount. That was what we heard.
But I think that's what he's talking about is probably that 10-pay plan where there is a down payment on that. There has to be a down payment of that 10%.
So he's going to give them a payment of 10 payments to make that 10%.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, the 10 pay plan is for the 100%, so the first pay. would
Okay,
be
so the
10%,
10%, that's what I was
to
getting
institute
at.
that plan.
Because, you
That's
know,
normal.
hey, a guy or homeowner, you know, they owe 8,000 and they send in 500. I mean, it's not adequate. I mean,
He also indicated that if, once you're on a payment plan, that if you miss a payment, then it goes, then the payment plan is gone. Now you have to pay it all. That was the impression I got.
Oh,
Yeah, and not to get into the weeds of this, because
Right, yeah.
it gets a little complicated, but ultimately, a lot of times when the delinquent tax certificate comes down for that parcel, our office will institute the foreclosure proceeding. And what we do is we keep that foreclosure proceeding running, but we put it in abeyance pending what happens in a 10 pay plan. So in other words, if they miss that payment, we don't have to restart the whole process again. We can kind of pick up and go from there. But, you know, yeah, well, like I said, the bottom line is, you know, our office will do whatever we can to work with the treasurer to help kind of bring this under control if that's a possibility. Again, pending whatever happens with the legislation and the, you know, the possibility of looking at all of this.
Change it up, that could change the whole,
the dynamics of everything.
I think it's safe to say it's on the county's radar, looking at these
Yeah.
properties and trying to collect it. But once again, you know what?
Brings up a good point,
It could all
too, though.
change though.
And Cheryl brought up a good point. What happens with those that, let's just say, yeah, they do, you know, get away with no property tax. What happens with those that owed all this money? Is that forgiven?
It's gonna like the answer I'm hearing.
That's going to depend on the
I mean,
legislation and the way it
I'd say that-
specifically is either passed by the legislature or adopted by the voters at a, you know, on the ballot initiative. And that's all up in the air now of how a lot of this is going to be handled. The same with even things like as detailed as the special assessments for water and sewer. We don't know if those will be addressed the same way as property taxes or whether those will still be allowable under a separate thing. Again, it's very cloudy at this point.
I'm sure all those people that owe taxes will vote to get rid of it. Well, okay.
They do vote. Thank you, Bill. Anyone else? Mr. Shook?
Yeah, I'd like to address some, John Shook, Trumbull County resident. I was curious, question to the commissioners, prosecutor, HR. What's the policy in Trumbull County? Say you have an employee of Trumbull County who's a hourly worker at will. If they get in trouble with the law and they get jammed up and say they're being held in jail, does the county keep paying those person even though the county knows that they can't come to work and do their job?
It's a good question. Good question. I don't,
Commissioners, County Human Resources,
Alex, name?
County Human Resources, Alex and Jency Bush, Sean, Mr. Shuck, please don't shoot the messenger, and I know that Mr. Prosecutor will back me up on this. I've had this conversation with many judges, many elected officials. The Ohio Revised Code is pretty clear in what you can and can't do. So, of course, in the state of Ohio, you are technically innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. With that being said, it's a great question, and it is one that many have issues with. I'm not saying I can agree or disagree, I can only tell you the facts of it. So what it would be is a paid administrative leave until, well, there's an if and. So if they're not charged with a felony, it's a paid administrative leave until proven guilty, and or once a felony charge is deducted, or you have the right to put them on an unpaid administrative leave. However, the caveat is that if they plead to a lesser degree or offense and it is changed to a misdemeanor, we owe them all that time back. So technically, until it's an actual felony charge that sticks, they're accused of, not only accused of it, but committed physically. You know, they actually are charged with it and then actually are found guilty of a felony charge. That is when it would trigger an unpaid administrative leave. Again, with the caveat that if it doesn't get reduced down to a misdemeanor, we have to pay them back that time.
Okay, so Sean Shook from County resident. So if you have somebody in jail that's being charged with a felony, you still have to pay them until it's determined. Now, if it is determined that this felony charge sticks and you've paid them X amount of dollars, do they have to pay that money back? Because you just said it was based on the felony charge and whether or not it's fine.
Once they're convicted, a person
Yeah.
is convicted of
Yeah.
an actual felony charge. Yep. I just want to make sure I didn't misspeak on
Yeah,
anything.
no, Bill Danzo, prosecutor's office. I mean, I don't want to get into legal advice on something that's pretty clearly offending matter at this point, but all of these things are things that we will look at with HR and with the proper appointing authorities.
All right, another part to the same question is, if you have a, say, employee, an hourly employee at will in Trumbull County, is there a record of their time? Do they have to punch in like everybody else who is an hourly employee in the world? Do they come to work, punch in? Is there a record of their time? Or do we just take their word for what the hours they're putting in?
Alex Stevens, Genesee Bush Human Resources Department. Sean, another great question. And that is truly contingent on the elected official. And that is the best that I can tell you. So the Board of Commissioners may have a policy that they may, stick to, that everybody has to punch in, punch out every time is documented. That I can't speak to every other, I do know what every other I don't know what they do, but that is their choice as an elected official. They're the appointing authority and they make those decisions and can supersede with their own policies and procedures. Any follow up on that? So a good example is the Board of Commissioners can control who is under the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners cannot control another elected official and their employees. Now, HR is a really interesting smorgasbord where I'm HR for the county. However, it is up to the elected officials as the appointing authority.
Even if the elected officials department is funded by the commission.
Unfortunately, that is how the statute works in this state. Okay. You're very welcome.
Rick, do you need to talk to me about anything? I think you mentioned my name on Friday in the meeting.
No, Commissioner Malloy had mentioned something. There was a question, somebody brought up a question.
Yeah, somebody texted in that there was issues with the meeting. And that wasn't me. I didn't text in. I think maybe you thought it was me. Malloy called him a regular complainer. They texted in because there was an issue with hearing the meeting. Issues I brought up several times in the past. If multiple people are talking at the same time, if people aren't introducing themselves, if you're not talking loud and clear, for example, Malloy, Bill Danzo, Alex, they usually come up pretty well on the audio, but you, for example, sometimes you're mumbled and it's very hard to make out. And you guys are using these recordings for official meeting minutes. So it would be nice if we were all able to hear these meetings and have them be accurate, especially since you've done away with the ability for us to call in and participate in meetings.
Yeah. And one point that I did want to bring up too, because it did come up, and Commissioner, you and I had discussed these things. Mahoney County doesn't even have workshop meetings, and they don't even, we do this as a service to our residents. They do have, however, on YouTube, public meetings, which I believe they have once a week. So these meetings that we're holding, even as a budget committee meetings, the commissioners are taking it upon themselves to do this budget, where probably, and I don't know the percentage, but we have discussed this. Most counties have administrators and budget directors. The commissioners get the information and vote on it. But we're saving the county hundreds of thousands of dollars doing it this way, which we choose to do. We spend a lot of time, not to detract from what you're saying, and I understand it. It surprises me though, because I have my voice, why is it muffled, my voice?
You talk low very often.
Oh,
Sometimes it's like you're whispering to the person.
Raymond, you agree with that? Okay, probably because I don't know if I could change the pitch of my voice. I'd have to do it maybe one of them, what do they got, them balloon whippets or something you do during the meeting? But I can't change the pitch of my voice. I don't know if we could change the microphone or wherever it's placed, maybe to get it, better clarity. But we'll.
That's not,
We're-
this is the phone.
I think
It's up in here.
Oh, it's up in this, yeah.
I think.
But I appreciate you bringing that point out.
And then
Work
Mr.
better on that.
Mr. Shuck, if I can clarify too, I was answering your question just to be clear and contextual, not about any specific case, person. I just want to be extremely clear. That is the same policy that HR would apply, dependent on the elected official. I can't force things on elected officials. I can give a recommendation. Prosecutors can give a recommendation. It's up to elected officials what they choose to do and or not do. And then whatever happens thereafter. Okay,
Thank you.
I just want to be clear.
Yes, Lisa.
So next week, regular meetings, Tuesday, Wednesday, the following week, Thanksgiving, it was mentioned. Possibly you might want to move your workshop meeting to Monday, Tuesday that week.
We discussed Monday, Thursday, or whatever.
Well, Thursday would be Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thursday's Thanksgiving.
Are you coming?
Can we have it?
And so just to put it up
Who's
there.
bringing the
we need to
turkey?
know that-
Should I bring the turkey?
Yes,
Yeah.
So you're talking the 24th and 25th.
correct.
Yeah, I think that's the best.
Did you, the Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, get it, yeah, because Friday, is the county closed on Friday?
Yes,
Yeah.
So we have to do Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
okay. Wanted to make sure. Then we'll talk about December meetings when the full board's here. Okay, just to confirm.
Sorry, I hate to go back to the insurance, but I do want to provide the commissioners with some additional facts as specifically to the contextual and the financial changes in the plans. Yes, the dollar amounts are the dollar amounts. However, the plans differ. I touched on that, but I do want to make sure to stress. So for plan A deductible in network is $100 for a family is $200. Out of network is $200 for a single. Out of network is $400 for a family. Out of pocket is $400 for a single, $800 for a family. In network, out of network is $900 for a single person and $1,800 for a family. That then becomes significantly different as the plans go on. So it does have a financial impact on these employees and how they choose and what they choose. For example, going from plan A to plan C alone is a $0 deductible across the board. Yes, you heard that correct. That is why the price is a little bit higher because these plans are, and I hate to do this, but if you call the broker, they will tell you they are the Cadillac plans. They are. Out of pocket is $1,500 and out of pocket for single is at $1,500. Out of pocket for family is $3,000. There is a significant difference between $1,800 and $3,000 for some people who are pay range is 3, 4, and 5. That is the truth.
That leads me to another question. So how does the employee, how are they notified of what these rates are? Do you?
Through open
do you-
enrollment.
No, but do they look at it online? In
Yes.
other words, if we pass it tomorrow and you say they have 6 days to say, so they go online and look at that?
So what HR does is it's a 7-page document that I have ready to go once the rates are passed. That's why to Nick's question, why can't I do it before? I can't do anything that the board hasn't done via resolution. That would not be how we run our county business. We're transparent, we do it expert. So with that being said, what I do is we send out a very large 7-page. Here are your options. Here is the price for each option. Here's the plan
You send it
coverage.
to every employee?
Absolutely countywide.
So you get a packet?
I do.
Okay, that was my question. Doesn't get posted online. You give each county employee a packet.
And our door is open for the next month straight. And let me tell you, people will be coming to our door for the next month straight after open enrollment because it has to go into effect January 1st. So many employees come up and ask questions. If I do this, is it that? If I do this, is it that? There's a lot of questions that happen.
I just got confused. You said the next month, but I thought it had to be in by December 1st.
Right.
Or we have to approve what plan it is, and then they have.
That's correct.
Do that.
So if we do it right now, they technically have 2 weeks. If we shorten it, it will be, like we said, not 2 weeks, especially with the holiday. We'll be giving them, I think we said 6 business days, 5 business days. I'd have to look, but just so you know. And then I will be honest with you. We can, I never say can't, we could extend it into December. However, that does put a significant burden on, we don't know what the amount is gonna change. And then we have to do payroll deduction tables. We have a lot of different things that are associated with it on the auditor side as well. And we do work hand in hand with them through the process, but whatever the board determines, I just wanted to be clear from a financial impact. The numbers do matter for the employees and it can shift how they look at their plan coverage. And most of the employees in this county, obviously, we know we're not extremely wealthy working for the county, but a lot of people do rely on those benefits, so.
Well, I think everybody relies on the benefits.
And unfortunately, commissioners, one thing too, this is not just for, again, the commissioner's office, this will affect all of our sheriffs, our courts, all of our judges. This is countywide. This also affects, yeah, quite entities that we don't even necessarily think of on a day-to-day basis. So it's 900 employees covered, 900 actual plans with 1,700 dependents. So it's a significant amount. Just, sorry, I didn't
Thank
mean
you.
to,
Thank
no
you,
problem.
Alex.
I'd like to say something
Yes.
also. One Shavers, Graceville Community Foundation. I just want to let everyone know publicly that we as a group would like to network, collaborate, cooperate with everyone in the Mahoning Valley, Trumbull County. And it's because of the commissioners, respectfully, for all the ones that were previously here, that we have our little museum. And so we really appreciate it. We've got great responses and we've done a lot of interesting things. And so, and I enjoy coming to these meetings because I really learned so much. But we want to thank you. And I just wanted to publicly state that we want to collaborate and cooperate, and network with everyone. So that was,
Well,
and we appreciate you guys.
Thank you for that, and we welcome them absolutely in these meetings. And I just mentioned to Mr. Shook that Mahoning County doesn't have these workshops. I don't know if you know that, Commissioner, but they don't do these workshops. This is an added, something that's different for a community or for the county, be able to participate.
Yeah.
Yes. So, with the exception of, the public meeting, which then, you kind of have limited time to, here you could hear the whole process about what we look at prior to the vote. So, and the museum, I know, I understand it's.
And I love the Trumbull Land Bank. That's how we got our place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it having you here too. Anything else? Nothing, Gina? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
Sir Hernandez.
Well, you always hesitate at that. Yeah.
So
Thank you, everyone.